Mike DeLuca, question.
Sure.
Last year, last June, we refinanced the loan, and I see here you say we borrowed 1.4 million additional funds, and there's a 1% prepayment penalty fee. But when this was presented to us by a former treasurer, he said there were no additional funds taken, and there was no penalty fee. So I was wondering, is this a mistake, or were we misled by our treasurer last year?
Former treasurer's right here, and I can answer that question. $1.5 million change we got back.
Alan, you need the microphone, please?
Absolutely.
The $1.5 million that we were refunded by the bank were the payments that we made from the 1st of January through May 30th, which Jules can confirm. When we negotiated the refinancing, the bank said that they would refund any payments that we had made up until the financing. So when we closed on the loan, they gave us back the monies we had paid since the 1st of January. It was our money. They gave it back to us so we could recycle it and reuse it again. In terms of prepayment, there is no prepayment penalty if we use the association's money to repay the loan. On the other hand, we go to a competitor, Banco Popular, and we borrow the money and we repay the loan, there is a payment penalty. It's very clearly listed in the documents, and that's exactly how we explain to our homeowners.
Excuse me, but that's not what you told the association. You said there were no additional funds, and you didn't explain that there was a clause in the prepayment penalty.
I certainly did.
You said there was none
I
whatsoever.
certainly did.
Okay, my next question is, when we refinanced this loan, Mr. Treasurer told us that our monthly payments would be so low that we'd be able to finish paying off all of our existing renovations, our future renovations, our elevators, and our lobbies and our hallways, and we'd be able to pay off the pension fund, and we'd be able to put millions of dollars in the reserves. And here we are less than a year later, and we're so broke that we're cutting off free coffee. And I would like to know, like, what happened in less than a year that this master plan, collapsed.
Since I wasn't there, I can't answer that question for you.
Well, maybe Mr. Ellinger can.
The refinancing was done in June. There was a recall that became of note or recorded as of the end of July. So essentially you had 4 members of the board, including myself, that were lame ducks. I left the office in September, early October, and I have not heard a word, a question. There was a financial plan in place, detailed. I've made offers to talk to the current board, no one's spoken to me. I have no exposure to what's happened since I left the board, so I can't possibly comment on it. It's been almost a year since I've been active in dealing with the numbers as president, not as treasurer. There was no treasurer for approximately a year that I was president. But it's been almost a year since I've had access to numbers.
May I have that?
Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. Ellinger actually left the board on November 14th of last year when I took over. Okay, so what had transpired in 2006 had already taken place. 2007. That's you can go back to the tape and view it and so forth. So, as Mike indicated, most of his questions lie on the previous board. In December, we knew we had to take some actions moving forward. We made those cuts to the budget in early in 2008. We cut $1,022,000 in salaries immediately in order to be able to breathe. Now, as far as going back and asking Mr. Ellinger for advice, I actually felt that we didn't need that. Moving forward, thank you, Alan.
No, I wasn't offering advice. I simply wanted to explain to the board.
That's okay, I think we understood it. I think we understood the plan, and moving forward, we needed to take certain actions. That's why the gentleman is here. That's why we're explaining this stuff to you, so that you, moving forward, again, you will see Mr. Frankel here on a frequent basis. His office will be coming in to check our accounting office is on a monthly basis. So,
We'd like to add one thing. please.
yes,
Okay, another mic.
The comments I made before was not meant to be critical of the board. What I think our homeowners have to understand is what went on here during the third and fourth quarter of the Galaxy. We were going through a recall. The vast majority of the hours that we spent as a board, if you watch the tapes of the meetings, was dealing with the recall and all the intricacies of how to deal with it properly. And by the way, let me add that Mr. Frankel was engaged by the Galaxy in July by the prior board. I just want to point that out, okay? But the vast majority of our energy was spent dealing with the recall, was not dealing with the day-to-day requirements of the Galaxy. My only comment, Lou, was simply the fact that there was a detailed plan that was put in place. And I would have simply have liked, and I sent an email to the board, what I simply would have liked to have done was to explain to the existing board the assumptions that went into that plan and how the plan was built. What the board did with it after was the board's business. I was very clear in my email. I don't want to interfere. I simply, when somebody takes over a business, generally they pick up the ball, they find out, well, what were the decisions and the assumptions that went into the plan with which we're managing the property with? So all I wanted to be able to do was sit down and review with the existing board what had occurred, what decisions went into the refinancing, why it was done, what numbers were included in it, and what were the plans going forward. Then the board, your board, any future board is free to do it as it chooses. All my desire was to do, not to give advice, not to give recommendations, simply to give a status of events, period.
are there any other questions for Jules? I don't want this meeting to turn into a, he said, I said, okay? What we have, what's been done has been done. Everybody understands the numbers, everybody understands what we have to move